Hi there, this is Bravo 1, Bravo Team Airsoft. I'm bringing another video to the collection of the series of things I've been putting on this channel so far. So I'm going through my loadouts now and thinking what have I uploaded and what haven't I. There's a few I've got about 9 or 10 different loadouts. Some of them I've done videos on, some of them I'm still building, or others I've just forgot that I've uploaded. Like this one I had to check to see if I'd not already done a video previous to this, as this sort of matches another loadout idea that I've done on YouTube already. So this time I'm going to talk about the Green Berets, or the 5th Special Forces group, that was quite common as the main effective force as far as Special Forces goes for Vietnam. It's one of the most popular ones we know about, and they had different groups, different areas and different units such as SOG and other things like that. So but yeah, basically I'm going to talk about that. So this one is basically a standard 5th SFG kit, otherwise known as Green Berets. I originally made this one as a combination kit to go with my SOG kit for the milsim. Basically my idea was to have a standard issue Special Forces type kit for the camp, which sort of represented the unit and who I was, and then obviously have the SOG kit, which is, you know, the going dark, greens, no insignia, you know, spiced up weapons and stable harness. That was originally the idea for outside camp and on missions, and then this was the idea for on base. Since then I decided to use it as an actual standard loadout, just to use as Green Berets, just, you know, as an advisor training Special Forces or basic recon or whatever around camps. Even we know, like, the stories of SOG when they weren't on mission and they were in camps, they still had to do patrols occasionally outside the lines. There was in outposts and other stuff like that in standard green jungle fatigues, so I thought this might go for that sort of loadout, even whether I'm using it for just standard Special Forces or whether I'm using it with my SOG loadout. So first I'm going to go over weapons now. As far as the 5th Special Forces group goes, as far as I'm aware of, they're allowed to use pretty much any kind of weapon. They had the varied types, the ones that you know of and the ones that you can see the pictures of, but to my knowledge they could have pretty much any firearm they could get access to within the timeline. So I'm going to talk about some of the most common ones. So first one is your AK-47 variants. Obviously we know now, I've mentioned this in a few videos, I have several different types of AKs, and there were quite a few different in circulations, from Chinese, Russian, even Bulgarian within Vietnam itself. This one is a Russian type AKM. It's the basic CYMA one, but it's got a full wooden metal kit, so there's no plastic on it, which is a pretty basic kind of gun. So I've just thought, as an example for AKs, it can represent any AK from a Type 56 to an AKM, AK-47, you know, whatever it is you want to represent for an AK. Just use this as an example of something that we know 5th Special Forces did use. So yeah, this is a good one for weapon capture. It was more for ideal for SOG, but we do know other units like Special Forces and LERPs and Mike Force and all that sort of stuff use the AKs. So I thought I'd go over the AK for that one. So second one, which is a common standard issue American rifle, which is the M16A1. Obviously we know that 5th Special Forces group used these if they weren't picky about what weapon they had, or they didn't want something unique or custom to the rest of them, or it was a specific style they wanted. M16 is the way to go for that. And then the last one, which is the most common one, which I've gone over in several videos because I use it for different loadouts, is your Car-15 or your XM177 or your Colt Commando rifle, depending on what you like to call it, as it had several different names in the field in Nam. This one is the E2 version with the 40mm grenade launcher underneath it. It's got a 30 round mag, and as I've stated in previous videos, it was not a common thing for 30 round mags, but for 5th Special Forces group and SOG it was something that they routinely had, as they got a lot of them sent from civilian retailers back in the States, so they would have had anything from 1 to 3 or 4 maybe of these mags each, depending on how the team rallied their money up and got them sent across. So I've gone over this in several videos before, but I thought, just for example, for the 5th Special Forces kit, and one of my main guns is Car-15. So now I'll go over the kit. As you can see, I've got another mannequin on here with kit. This is currently the kit that's on it. I have several of these mannequins displayed around the room, all with different kits and different era stuff on. So I'll start off with the berets. Now I do believe I have 2 of these. I've got a private's one and an officer's one. Well, not, let's say, single squaddy sort of one and then an officer's one, because I can't necessarily say officers because it was only second lieutenants and upwards that hence I put their insignia on here, which is the rank in the middle, and then you had the standard infantry one, or up to the rank of second lieutenant, which had the Latin inscription on it, which was 3 the oppressed. I cannot remember what it was actually in Latin. It was, but they do have some sort of Latin insignia badge in the middle, and then it's basically Latin for 3 the oppressed, which is, you know, what the original role of the 5th Special Forces was to insert, train locals and assist. So that's basically my beret. For this one I'm a captain, as that's what I've done for this uniform. As my original idea was a SOG captain, which goes along with the SOG kit that I've got, but this is the 5th SFC kit, which has got the proper insignia. So that's the beret, and like I say, I do have a normal version of this as well, just got it really as a spare to lend other members of the team that I go to the nothing that I've not acquired one. So I'm going to go over the webbing. Now I've used a 1937, I believe, BAR belt for this. It's been dyed green and it's been weathered a bit just to give it more of a Vietnam sort of look, because originally these were like a khaki tan sort of colour. I got it and did some modifications to it, so I put some soapy water on it to try and stretch out the material so I can get up to 4 magazines per pouch. So this does hold a lot of 5.56 pouches if you're using the Cat 15 or M16. So that's what I've done with that. That's why it's been mucked up and weathered a bit, just to give it more of a Special Forces Vietnam sort of look. Got a fake K-bar at the top, which has been on several other kits in the past. I've just sort of swatched it around now and then. So we have mostly on the belt, it's just the magazine pouches for the 5.56s, and then on the back we've got a couple of M56 water bottle pouches, and then we've got a 1930s water bottle pouch, I believe that one is, which is sort of on the belt loops on the bottom for attaching pouches. So that's pretty much what I've got for the belt. It's pretty much basic standardised as it is. You don't really need to do much to it apart from add water bottle pouches. This was quite a common thing used by Special Forces, LERPs and several other Green Berets and SOG. This was quite a common thing. For SOG itself I tend to use a stable harness just because I prefer to use that, as it's unique, and well, nothing says more SOG than the stable harness, even more than the BAR belt. So for the BAR belt I just thought I'd use this for my Green Beret kit and then the stable for my SOG kit. So it builds up 2 different kits quite well. So bags, which is put on the back, which I'll go over shortly, and just get it off. I've used this bag on several kits beforehand. I use this one normally for the SOG kit, and this is a real one, which is the Arvin inspired jungle pack made by the Americans. I use this for several different kits, so I've probably gone over this in other videos beforehand. Just odds and things like GI issued socks, got other stuff like vests, t-shirts. It's all 5th Special Forces related kit, tape, oil, string, mugs. It's got various bits and bats, mostly for like camping supplies, really, for Nelson setting up at base. But that's what I've used for the bag. And then I'll go over the back again. Now you can see it a bit more clearly. Up here at the back's a bit tattered and mangled, so it needs sorting out a bit, but I'll turn it round on the back. You can see without the bags, it's got 2 M56 water bottle pouches on the back, and then more as a dump pouch for magazines. I've got the World War II era type water bottle pouch, which I can't remember the exact name of this, whether it's a 1930s one or more mid-war, I'm not quite sure. But that's what I've done as a dump pouch. It's got all the insignia on it, so we've got the MAC-V badge on that one. On this one we have the Special Forces Airborne badge and tab on that one. I moved the webbing out slightly. I've got all the correct badges on it. So we've got the CIB badge, the Jump Wings badge, and then we've got the US Army badge there. We've got the brigade for officer markings on the other collar. On this one we've got the rank, which one's captain, if you can just see that out. And then we've got my name, which is Hodgson, which is my real second name. We've got the Arvin Jump Wings, as the Green Beret tend to do a lot of parachute courses with Arvin paratroopers and Arvin Special Forces, etc. So that's why we've got the Arvin Jump Wings on that one. And then just for basically the idea of SOG and being on base, I've basically printed off a mock ID, which is basically standard MAC-V SOG type of ID, which you can probably see several pictures on. That's where I got the idea from. And I've put that underneath his jacket just to symbolise that he's got access to restricted areas and unique weapon types, which we know obviously SOG did. I've got a vest underneath it. I've currently not got no dog tags on this one. I mean, if he was on base he would have had dog tags and off, obviously for the reasons of being sterile and doing SOG missions he wouldn't have had dog tags, but at the moment this guy hasn't got any. And then we've got basically a standard Vietnam era compass, with him being the officer, and he usually has that on the inside of his shirt so it's not catching and dragging things on the outside. So yeah, that's basically my Green Beret kit, and this is a standard 3rd pattern jungle fatigues, you know, the late war versions. It's more or less a late war impression like most of my kits are, for the simple reason of I can use more of my own weapons when I do the you know, the SOG kits and the late war kits. It tends to be more variety when you do it late war, because some of the stuff didn't get into circulation until late war. Now, interesting story with the berets is it originally aspired from the Royal Marine Commandos in the 50s, and I'm led to believe that the 5th Special Forces Group, or Special Forces, a lot of them originally when it was formed were ex-OSS members, and they did the course and they did the training courses with the Royal Marine Commandos in Scotland. And then these berets were originally given to some of these applicants that passed the Special Forces course that were Americans with the Royal Marine Commandos, and when they got back into the States, a lot of these wore these as pride, simply that you know, they passed the course. They wore them for about a year, and then forget quite exactly what year it was, 1955, 1956. They was originally banned because a lot of people thought that the Green Berets at the time, it was a foreign element, it was a foreign unit within the army, so they banned the Green Berets. And then in about 1956 they got legally authorised to be worn on camp as an official doctrine of Special Forces, and that's kind of where the Green Berets set off from there. And then from them once it was used, even when they first got them and they banned them, from what I'm led to believe, they still took these on missions abroad overseas and then wore them outside of countries. Just when they was in the States they were banned and they were not allowed to be used with the official kit, not until 1956 where it became a standard issue bit of kit, and then from there on every 5th Special Forces member has the Green Beret. So that's the basic story of what I've gathered from the Green Berets itself, which I thought was quite interesting. So obviously we know with weapons and stuff like that you can go more, your kit can go more, you can use M56 kits, AK chest rigs, it all varies depending on what kind of kit you want. I've just used this as my style, as every individual mannequin I've built with kit on has different stuff. I just don't want 7 or 8 different mannequins from Vietnam all with the same type of gear, so I've tried to mix it up a bit and experiment and just show the variety of what stuff were actually used. Obviously within the Vietnam War being so long, it had lots of different kit in circulations from, you know, World War I, World War II up until, you know, the current day of 1973, 72, 73, where they were getting the last bits, you know, the first bits of Alice kitting, which we know don't really talk about as Vietnam reenactors because it can get quite controversial of what kit they did have and what kit they didn't have. So I tend to stick with the canvas stuff, one because I know it's Vietnam, and two because I just think it looks better. When I start seeing the Alice kit and, you know, the 30 round magazines, it just reminds me of the Black Hawk Down Gulf War sort of thing, and it just ruins the visage of Vietnam for me. So I don't tend to go for that stuff, and I don't like it when I have seen it on people, even though I know you could, you know, temporarily use it for whatever if you're doing late war, but not a lot of it was in circulation. It was often the odd pouch here and there up until after the Vietnam War. So I've tended to stick with the canvas stuff for that matter, and it's always usually M56 pattern webbing mostly, depending on what kind of kit. But for the 5th Special Forces kit, I've gone with the BAR belt, which I think is a good idea, as it was commonly done by Special Forces and other SF type elements within Vietnam, and they hold up to 4 or 5 magazines per pouch, and you can imagine it's got a lot of pouches, so you carry a lot of ammo with that. So yeah, that's basically it. It's not going to be such as long video as it was on the last one, because it's a very basic setup. There's nothing that unique towards it, so I just thought I'd go over it since I haven't done before. So this is the 5th Special Forces Group Vietnam, and this is Bravo 1, Bravo 2 Airsoft. Thanks for watching.